All right. Hello, hello. Welcome, MakoCam. Yes, indeed. Those were computer mouse sounds, for sure. welcome, everybody. I am doing another story surgery stream. So, I am going to be helping Norman Gray with his Halloween contest story. It is currently over the limit, the word max, and I'm going to do my best to help him get it properly to the max, to the word limit. So there are some overall things about the story that I want to talk to Norman about, but he's not here at the moment, and I'm hoping he will be here. So I'm going to wait to talk about those until he shows up. But I'll just, say that the beginning is actually stuff that I added to potentially address some of the overarching issues. I mean, they're not that big of issues, but yeah. And so I added them in because they add words. And so if Norman himself decides to address those things, then it will add words as well. And maybe it won't be the same amount of words, but this gives me some idea of maybe the amount of words that could be added by addressing those things. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to stick around for much longer, but have some bits. Aw, thank you, Mako. Really appreciate that. But yeah, so until Norman gets here, this is going to be a pretty chill stream. I'm just going to start going through the story and cutting stuff out. I'll probably be pretty quiet. So yeah. Oops. Don't think I need to say I'll go to sleep. I don't know if you can hear that plane. I guess should have been. Cuts a word. If Mako's still here, the red rotary one in the basement. Could I just say the red rotary in the basement and not say one? I think that's just lowercase. Okay, I talked to Norman about this part, and he said that he's unsure. And so I feel like I can take this out, but I may need to tweak it a little bit to make it work, because this line doesn't work without it. Tries to just screen to see what I'm talking about. Oh no, is it too small? That's as big as I can make it. Where'd it go? This line right here is, when I arrived home, I heard the phone ring. The red rotary one in the basement. Could I just say, when I arrived home, I heard the phone ring. The red rotary in the basement. At least I think it's rotary. I need to check and see if that's actually said in the story. It might have been said in one of the other stories. Hello, Bella.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, little kitty. There's my Bella. You are so cute. Yes, you are.
Oh no. You don't want to be put down, huh? Okay. I'm gonna keep going. Hopefully you saw it. Definitely. You could probably just get away with the one in the basement. That alone makes it feel kind of ominous and spooky. Okay. The one in the basement. I heard the phone ring. The one in the basement. That's true. Let me make sure that it's in the basement, because I think it was in one of the other stories, but yeah, it is a red rotary. I remembered it right. And in this other story, Norman himself just refers to it as it was the red rotary. Well, I guess, yeah. It was the red rotary, so you don't have to say phone. Yes, he says, oh, okay. I totally remembered it. Wow, I'm proud of myself. This was from the first story about these characters. Jenna recognized the phone. It was the red rotary that Dad kept in the basement workshop of their old house. I could say workshop, but basement is spookier. Okay. Hello. Oira Mui. Welcome, Oira Mui. Well, it's gonna be introduced. Norman himself introduced it, like, right here, right in that first bit, and I added this part. It's something else that I'm suggesting that he introduced earlier, but the phone is already introduced early. But yes, welcome. I was discharged. Okay. I want to change this, like, he'd have thought to include feels a little clunky. It feels like I could take words out there, but I can't figure out what to take out. I actually already took out a lot of that sentence. I guess maybe he'd be smart enough. He'd have thought to. He'd be smart enough to. Oh, it's more words. He'd have thought to. I guess I could just change this to, there are over 100 billion dead people, and they didn't have anyone else to talk to. I like that. Hello, Documancer. Welcome. I might have a question for Norman about this line, so I'm going to put that in red. I wish there was a way, because I know this is a psychic, not a psychiatrist. I know this is from the other story as well, but I don't know if there's a way to get that joke in. That would be great if you could. I guess you could add something like, you know what she said after, and then whatever, like, the ritual or whatever it was. After, I'll put it in red to ask. It does add words, though, so maybe not. Okay. If that's what you want, Google Docs, sure. I cut out a lot right here. And change this as well. All these things I don't want to talk about until Norman gets here. If he gets here. Maybe you could do, I needed a secretary to deal with these non-stop calls. Yeah, I like that. Okay. and for those arriving, it's just gonna be a quiet stream. I'm just gonna you can mostly watch me and cut down on the words up here, and then I'll talk. As I said, I'll talk more when Norman gets here. I'm sorry, surgery. I need the body autonomy. Oh, what is the connection there? Or whatever it's called, ADHD. Well, body autonomy is like I have control over my body, right? And so, do you mean like I need to know the story anatomy, or we need to do a story autopsy? No, I don't like autopsy, because autopsy implies the story is dead, and the story is absolutely not dead. Let's see, the computer gave out on me, so I guess that's my cue to head to sleep. Okay, good night, Mako. Sleep well. When someone is working on a project, it motivates the ADHD person. Gotcha. That's not coming to mind what that's called, but I'm sure there is a name for it. I guess it could be this. That? Yeah, I think that's right. I'm sure I'll remember at 3 a.m. Fair. You could just put it in the stream chat.
Oh, that's cute. That's a cute
Little emoji. Don't know why that happened. I guess I can do the same thing here. Hello, Mark Carroll. Welcome, welcome. I am working on, as the title says, cutting down a story for the Halloween contest on my server down to 3,500 words. It's not my story, it's written by someone else. I'm just helping out and streaming it. Yes. Can somebody post the link to the Discord in the chat so Mark Carl can potentially join if they so desire? But yeah, it's a Halloween contest. You guys can all... I get distracted, so I don't know if I can talk about it while I'm doing this. But you guys in the chat, please also tell them about the Halloween contest and how it works. Oh, what are you sorry about? There's nothing to be sorry about. Oh, it's okay. Aw, it's all right. Lovely to have people chatting in the chat. I enjoy that. You should see the not so private chat during Saturday streams, yeah. um, I'm also not I'm not reading it because just in case Norman wins, so I'm not taking away the actual reading from the actual winners stream. Thank you for posting that, Mako, and thank you for the compliment, Mark Earl. I'm really glad you like it. That's pretty, Oramori. Mui. I like that. Unfortunately, it adds a lot of words. I am a writing streamer. We do streams every I do stream. I mean, myself in the writing group. I do streams every Saturday. I have a prompt every week, and we all write 350-word microfiction to post to the Discord, and then I read some of the stories that were posted that week on Saturday. I like this. Oh yeah, what makes you say that? um, well, you can't write short fiction. Whoa, that's quite the accomplishment. I mean, I kind of like there is a sense in which trying to write microfiction could challenge you. Yeah, exactly. Like I guess it could be a worthy challenge because I didn't write that much every story I wrote, but in the past I would write really long stories. I could go on for like 10 pages of internal monologue and stuff like that. And then joining the writing group challenged me to go like, no, short, condense it. And it really grew my writing a lot, and I think made my writing even better. Don't love that change, but I think it works well enough. Okay, yeah, actually it flows a little more snappily. Very fair. I'm not much of a purple prose writer. I just have a big story to tell. Very fair. I mean, in our writing group, we have a lot of people who write for a larger universe, and then what we'll do is just write little snippets from that universe. So it could be that you could work on that. That you could be like, I have a big story to tell, and I'm going to tell a tiny part of it this week. I wanted to make words pretty. Mood. um, I love this line. I'll leave it for now. We can kind of assume that. That's another thing. I have a huge universe. A lot of us do too. I have been working on my universe for over 10 years. So you are welcome. Big huge universes are totally welcome. Nice. That's awesome. Very, very fair, Documancer. Oh, you've been doing it for over 10 years too? That's awesome. Yeah, it's really nice because you get to hear, like, I don't know if you have been posting your story in forums or anything like that, but I kept my story to myself for most of those 10 years, or I guess maybe it was those 10 years I kept it to myself, and then, like, after that, I started sharing it with the writing group. But it's really nice because you get fans of your story, you get people interested in your universe, and makes you even more motivated than you already were to write it. And then you also get feedback on, like, oh, does this character work? Does this scene work? Does this plot point work? Of course, it's different when it's in scenes versus, like, a novel, but it's a nice little test. That's very fair. Very fair. Yes, fan fiction. I also have done a lot of fan fiction. I really love it, and it is a great way to get into writing. Yep, that is microfiction, Oromoi. That is very cool and pretty too, and freaky. Aw, I'm sorry to hear that. I do hope that if you joined our writing group, you would get more fans. Very fair. I think for a lot of people, it is the progression of, like, writing fan fiction and then writing original work, and they're both great, and you can work on you can work on both. Some authors, like, still write fan fiction even after they're, like, big shot published authors, but that is a progression I've seen it myself as well. That's very fair. Yeah. Would you call peanut butter liquid? I don't know that I'd call it liquid. I'd probably call it paste. Yeah, I like that a bit better. This doesn't really make sense because she's not eating the jar sideways. I feel like you'd more see the ghost tongue at the bottom. Or not, you wouldn't see the tongue, but you'd see the effects of the ghost tongue. Which two clauses? Are you talking about this one? Or this one? I'm not sure. It's a spread. Okay. Well, does it work if she's just eating it out of the jar, though? Yeah, that doesn't work as well for me personally. Of course, Norman can pick it if he likes it better, but... I'm glad I took out him, like, holding it off the receiver, because why would it ring if it's off the receiver, right? Granted, I'm not super versed in rotary phones. The GIF, commas, and semicolons don't feel like a list. It feels like actions. A semicolon is not a list indicator. A colon is. A semicolon means it could be two sentences, and it's one. The viscous. Okay. So it'd be like that. I watched in astonishment as my jar of crunchy GIF floated out of the cupboard. I think there is meant to be a comma there, personally. It burst the sentence. I made it as a storyteller list is pretty small too. It's just people tell me they like my world stories. I have a small fan base who loves my world stories and have as much as I do. Yeah, I totally vibe with that. Like, even just having one person who reads my stories every week is really wonderful and validating. The commas have merged. Yeah, it is an interruption. That is why. That's why there's a comma there. Because you could have this be the sentence, right? I watched in astonishment as my jar of crunchy GIF floated out from the cupboard. I think you could just say from. Floated from the cupboard. Watched in astonishment as my jar of crunchy GIF floated from the cupboard. Yeah. And so you could make that the whole sentence. And so, but I watched in astonishment as my jar of crunchy GIF floated from the cupboard, the viscous nutty paste within disappearing. Like, doesn't work the way I watched in astonishment as my jar of crunchy GIF floated from the cupboard, the viscous nutty paste within disappearing. But if everybody disagrees, I can change it. Technically, commas can be better than periods because periods make it too short and abrupt. It depends on what you want. If you want short and abrupt, then that's great. If I put a period here, it would be the viscous nutty paste within disappeared, which I guess I could do. Let's look at it. Let's see. Oops. No, Google. Not present tense. I watched in astonishment as my jar of crunchy GIF floated from the cupboard. The viscous nutty paste within disappeared, devoured by an invisible mouth, until a spotless empty jar was left. I kind of like that. Maybe I like that better, actually. You know what? Do you? Oh, I guess it's because it's crunchy. I was gonna say, do you chew peanut butter? But it's crunchy peanut butter. Chewy peanuts. I do love that it's like, how dare she insult my beloved GIF. Like, that's what makes him go. She has to go. I like this, but not necessary. I like this, but I think you can remove it. I don't know. I'll leave it for now. I think that works. So this part ended up confusing me a lot because Wait, hang on. Ew, Kraft is peanut butter. I didn't know they did either. Wait, let's see if we can look it up. Why not? Well, the images haven't loaded yet, but I see a lot. Okay. There you go. There's a grand list of Kraft peanut butters. Why are they all in French? Oily peanut, smooth, all natural peanut butter. Oh no, not oily peanuts. Only peanuts. That's better. And we still have Jif in there. There you go. You have the teddy bears watching you from the Kraft peanut butter jars. No! I feel like if this story wins, I need to buy both and then like eat each and put my input. That sounds atrocious. The equivalent of Kraft American cheese? I don't know about that. I mean, it's still peanut butter. I closed my eyes and I saw him. It's meant to be confusing, yeah. It's peanut butter that tastes like airplane biscuits. Airplane biscuits can be good or bad, it depends. But yeah, so this part ended up overall confusing me because this is the first time we're really getting introduced to Ghost Neil. And I was like, okay, I closed my eyes, I saw him. But the problem is that he sees through his other self's eyes. He doesn't see himself, or both happen, but both happening is confusing. And so I need to, I think I need to take out him seeing himself because he's seeing through his eyes. But I need to figure out a way to convey there are two me's. Okay, I remembered it because he said it. He said it here. I don't think he talked about the basement part in this story, but I remember the red roadie from must have been because it was said in the story. So my memory is not as good as I was congratulating myself earlier. It's awkward, but it does convey it. I don't like it though. I don't like it. Maybe. Yeah, I think it's less confusing. You guys can say though. Maybe like I don't love taking out the other side reference, but it is kind of repeating the same thing. To control the other hymns. Let's finish it up. I need a favor. I think that works. It's a good trick. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but thank you. I think that works. Oh, it does say the other side here. I could maybe add that. I do like that. I projected my thoughts to him. That does make it clear. It does add some words, though. I'll put it in for now. I don't need a so in there. Google. That is a clarification that we needed. Okay, he did use the American English, so why is Google telling me that is wrong? There's a lot of words in this paragraph, but I'm not sure what to cut in it. Yes. I think I understand the constraints now. It not only must it be clear, it has to be under a word budget. Yes, exactly. And after I go through it once, I'll stick it into a word counter and see where we're at. Cut the infatuated. It doesn't really work without it. If this is the only time he refers to him as other, I'll change that to ghost. I could cut this, but not really. All right. Doesn't sound great right next to each other. I guess you could say, take this out. I'm not sure, because I'll stay away seems like indefinitely, as opposed to like I'll stay away and then come back. I guess I could change it to few, though, to cut one word out. I want to take this out, but I don't think I can, because just here's your voice could just be anywhere in the apartment. I guess we could take this out. Is that correct, a comma there? I'm not gluten intolerant, I'm just dead. Yeah, which I know, wild sentence, if you haven't read the story. Which you should. While I'm doing this, you guys should go and like, actually read the story. Yeah, it'd make more sense. I said that at the right time. It would make more sense if you read the story. Um, he didn't know. Oh, yeah. Wat. At. I like this line, but I think it can go, this phrase. Amazing. Documancer. Me listening to my boyfriend chat. That's not Satanism. That's a cult. Which, yeah, like, I can't go into it because it'll distract me too much, but Satanism is less culty than you'd think from the name. uh... Hmm. Close the... I could take this sentence out, but I'll leave it for now. I really like this whole little bit. Interesting. So, like, are those, like, different religions or, like, different ways of practicing the same religion? Or I guess they're kind of, I don't know if they would be offended by me calling it a religion, because I think they're kind of, like, against religion as an institution. I like this, but I think I could take it out. Should this be that? This place is upsetting her. She came from distracted, but instead, this place... I guess it's correct, but it is clunky looking. Yes, they're two different religions. There's the Church of Satan and the Temple of Satanism. One is an institute, and one is what we think of when we think of a cult. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. And yes, religion. Satanism is atheism, if I remember. Yeah, it's like a specific brand of atheism, as far as I know. Hello, the Shadow Legion. Welcome, welcome. Me hopping into my boyfriend's chat, no context. What about Satanism? I feel like that's also what's happening here, though you gave the context. Oh, I guess you meant, like, what about Satanism? Why are we talking about that, boyfriend? I am working on helping a member of our community. I'm hosting a Halloween contest, a Halloween writing contest over in my server. The word limit, the word max is 3,500 words, and this story is over that, and the community member, Norman, wanted help cutting it down, so I was like, hey, people have been wanting story surgery streams, so, hey, might as well just stream what I'm doing here. Exactly the latter. The what about Satanism? What we talk about? Oh, he said context. Contest, yes. Yep. Documancer, can you explain what the contest is all about? And also put a link to the Discord as well. Why would he know it's on our left? I love this section. It really tugs on my heartstrings. It's a little late for the contest because tomorrow is the last day to submit, but we still have tons of other stuff that we do over on the Discord. We have a writing group that happens every week. We have a prompt and write 350-word microfiction for that prompt, and then I stream reading some of the stories on the weekend. So you absolutely can still join writing stuff. I will also be hosting a winter/Christmas contest right after the Halloween one. So there's plenty of stuff to join, even if you don't join the Halloween contest. Oh, there's an ad incoming. Moths. I think that's the first time anyone's called me Moths, so that's great. Let's take a look at that. Moths is hosting a Halloween contest for short stories ranging from 2,500 words to 3,500 words. That's part 1 of the contest. Part 2 is to follow the contest challenges and win more points and use as many words in the word bank as possible. Part 3 is to go and review other people's stories and earn more points. That is wonderfully put. Very concisely and accurately put. And of course there's more in the actual Halloween contest 2024 channel. There's like a rules thing that I have pinned. could take out this part here, but I'll probably leave it for now. I could change this to she sobbed, but I don't really want to. Yeah, any of those would work. It's just she could barely get the words out between sobs is a different image than she sobbed or she wept, blubbered. Just using any word, any synonym is different from the image of she could barely get the words out between them. It can be a motel, Google. Oh, and if you are, yeah, I guess you are subscribed, so yeah, you would see what's going on, even though there's an ad. It's totally fine. I do not mind being called moths. I don't mind my channel being called moths. I love this paragraph so much, but it's also not important to the plot, so I could remove it, but I'm gonna keep it until I have to remove it. Do I have a fantasy contest? I mean, the writing group weekly prompts and the since the Halloween contest is ending, the Halloween contest is too, but the Christmas contest that I'll host, you can write fantasy stories. Like, there's no limit on what genre you can write about. So yeah, if you like fantasy, we like fantasy. Come join us. I guess I could make this what and get one whole word. I guess, and the thing is, like, this goes along with what he says here, that some people are haunted by themselves. And so, like, yeah, it's like, I want to haunt myself, but I'm not going to. And so it works really well. It's not necessary, so I can remove it, but I just don't want to. How many words for what? I guess I could take this out. I like it, but I think it works. Well, the cadence of it works better with it, and it's a great line. I don't know what he means by even there. Sorry, I asked how many words. Is it bad to go do something fair? So yeah, what do you mean how many words this is? If you mean that, I will check after I go through it. I just want to give myself hope by not looking at it until I go through it once and then have to restart. You need that door. The bloody mess promises a description. The bloody mess was described why it was all bloody earlier. You might as well cut the locked door section completely out. That is a fair point. I could cut it, but I don't really want to because he introduced that Jenna has a key earlier, and so it's like I was certain I locked the front door. Is it actually your clue that it's Jenna before you see her? Yes, that is helpful, Documancer. Alright. I could take this out. I'll leave it for now, but it would be less words to say this directly. I'm super torn about this part because I like it, and this is like one of the big questions I want to ask Norman, which I may not get to, or I might have to over text, which is that in the end, there are things that make Neil seem less likable. And one of the things is doing something genuinely horrible to Kelly in the lie that he told. And then not feeling the slightest bit bad about it, and then being like, oh my gosh, I traumatized my sister, I'm the worst person ever. And it's like, yeah, I'm glad he had a heart, and I'm glad that he has those thoughts, but it sort of almost feels, I don't know, like, disingenuous isn't the right word, because it feels genuine. but it just feels like, do you not care about what you just did to Kelly? Because that might have been the worst thing you ever did. And so just saying like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing I've ever done. I traumatized my sister. Completely ignoring what he did to Kelly. I don't like the vibes that gives off. But I don't think taking out the line just fixes that necessarily. I mean, I guess it does fix the issue of like, why do you feel bad about your sister but not Kelly? But I think it doesn't necessarily work better with it removed. I think it needs to be reworked, and I'm not sure if I should attempt to do that or just like tell Norman that. I guess it could just, instead of saying it's the worst thing I'd ever done, I guess he could say something like, it's not the most evocative, but I felt horrible. I felt horrible for convincing my own sister that I was dead. The person who cared about me most in the world, and I traumatized her. I think that works. I don't love it. I think it's better, but it's not as good as it could be. The thing he did to Kelly makes him think about his sister. I mean, that's the thing, is that, like, he should feel bad for both. And so it should be like, I feel bad about what I did to Kelly, and then, I also feel bad about what I did to my sister because of what I did to Kelly. But it ends up not reading like that. It reads as like, I told a dirty lie, but I gotta get her out of here. I really don't care about her, And so then when it happens to the sister, affects the sister, it's like, oh my gosh, I did this horrible thing. And so, like, that's more of the issue. And so I don't know if, like, I mean, yes, if he did genuinely feel bad about what he did to Kelly, it would fix the entire issue. But I feel like that might need to come like later. That might need to come now. Maybe like, only now did I realize the true horror of what I'd done. I guess, like, maybe we can put it later. Seeing the person who cared about me most in the world traumatized. Because I convinced her I was dead. This is the right time for a semicolon. Okay, let's read that. She cried on my shoulder for a while. I couldn't tell you how many... I couldn't say... Don't need to bring me into this. I couldn't say how many times I apologized to her. Seeing the person who cared about me most in the whole world traumatized because I convinced her I convinced... Seeing my sister... the person who cared about me most in the whole world traumatized because I convinced her I was dead. Only now did I realize the true horror of what I'd done. Yeah. I think just convinced I was dead. My sister, the person who cared about me most in the whole world traumatized, convinced I was dead. Only now did I realize the true horror of what I'd done. I think that works. Would you agree? Maybe he was, but if he was, I don't think it was conveyed well. And I think this conveys it better, that it's like, I'm realizing the horror of what I've done as a whole. I'm realizing the horror of what I did to both Kelly and to Jenna. Not just, I only did something horrible to my sister. I still don't feel bad about what I did to Kelly, which is how it read before. Yeah, I think you need a link between Kelly and his sister Jenna. He treated both. Okay, oh yeah, so I forgot to answer. So could I write my Christmas story now, or do you have to wait for the contest? You can start writing it whenever, but the problem is you don't have the prompt yet. I'm going to do a poll probably tomorrow. asking what people want, what people would like the Christmas thing to be, because it can be a lot of different things. And so, like, for instance, if we have a word bank, you're going to want to know what that word bank is to slot those into your story. So, like, you could start working on something now, but there's a chance it may not work with the contest once the actual prompt comes out. That genre should work just fine. Like I said, the genre isn't really something I ever, like, put a parameter on. So that should work. It's just is it a word bank? Is this going to be a Secret Santa story that you actually write based on somebody else's prompts or somebody else's universe or whatever? That's more the question. And then him calling her it makes it so much worse, because not only is he, like, not feeling bad about the horrible thing he just did, he's also calling her an it afterwards. And so I think adding a her is helpful as well. Don't need that. Ah, lovely to hear you joined the server, the Shadow Legion. Yeah, you will, as long, well, let's see what color your name is. Yes, you joined the writing group. I will tag I guess I'll tag everybody when I do the poll, but I'll definitely tag the writing group with Christmas contest stuff. So you should get pinged. I want to add an emotional reaction before this, but it would have had words. I guess we could take out this whole bit, maybe. Let's see how that looks. It's not great, but I think it flows okay. Yeah, I think it's good enough. Can take out the words for it. Is that supposed to be like that? I think so. Excuse me. Yeah, I could potentially pin it. That's a good idea. Oh, he does call him Other Neil. I don't want you to keep secrets. Never keep secrets from me again. Neil. Negative infinitive is a bit wordy. I don't want you to keep secrets. 7. Never keep secrets from me again, Neil. Same. Okay. Let's see. I don't know if he wants Jenna to be so like commanding as like never do this again, because don't keep secrets from me again, Neil, is gentler. Is like, I do agree it sounds a little clunky, but like if you're emotional you're gonna be clunky. And so it's like, you know, don't keep secrets from me again, Neil, but I'll put in the never keep secrets from me again for now. Yes, there's a ghost Neil and another Neil. Please. I guess I could still do don't. Please, I mean, it adds a word, but please don't keep. Well, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I like the flow of never keep secrets from me again, Neil. Though please would make it a little bit gentler. Ah. I like it, but same thing, as ready as I'll ever be. Okay, so midnight black here, so could just say black here. I guess if you're in love, you're gonna use more descriptors. I like this, but The wonderful thing about using italics to convey thoughts is that you don't need to say I thought. I thought is great, but when you need to cut out words, you can if you put them in italics. Also, this also feels oddly callous to me. Oh, you guys left too. To say, like, they're not going anywhere. I don't need to pick up their calls. When it's like, yeah, I don't know. Because, like, it's fair that he wants to get away and is like, you guys have been bombarding me. This has been my whole life. I need to walk outside. That is totally fair. But I guess I'll take it out if I have this much commentary about it. But it just feels oddly callous to make that little assessment. I'm wondering. This does say something, but it says something a little bit creepy of like it kind of seeming like they're the only ones there at all. So I think it can be removed because I don't like the one another and each other right next to each other, and I think just saying that works. Hello, Hugo Moreno. Welcome. I think it's dark here. The existential dread too. The dead will always be there. That's very possible. That is possible. That's exactly what he meant by it. Is just meant to be humor. It just is. I think at least for my reading, and you might disagree once you read the story, but that was an overall issue I had with the story. That at the end I was like, the end is kind of making me not like Neil so much. Like, not to the extent where I'm like, oh, I hate this character, he's the worst. But it's like, you did quite a few things I'm not fond of. And I think, like, this whole part is meant to convey, like, breaking free. That he spent all this time, like, attending to the phone. And now he's like, no, I'm going to be a person. I'm going to go outside. Which is great. And that's meant to be great. But the problem is that because he already seemed callous towards Kelly, instead of reading like, oh, and I guess, actually come to think of it, part of the problem is that when he's at the motel, he's also thinking about leaving them. That, like, leaving them is what he wants to do. And choosing to stay for them and take care of them and talk to the haunted ones, that is the hard decision. That's the decision he makes at the motel, and that's difficult for him to make. And so come to think of it, I do think him leaving, while I do get that it's meant to convey there's a balance. I want to help them, but I also need to have my own life, which is great, and like that works well. But I think it's hard to do, especially when you have to cut down the words, because like you want to leave, you want to treat them callously, and staying and treating them kindly is the character changing, the character turn. And so then going, I'm going to stay for them, and then immediately saying, I'm going to leave and go outside, is contradictory and makes it go, well, you made the good choice of being kind to them. and then you chose to leave them, which makes leaving them seem extra callous. So I guess in that case, like, this might be something for Norman to examine about the story as a whole, of just, like, the question of, okay, do you want it to be, I care about them so much, I'm attending the phone all the time, and so the ending, the way the character changes, is he decides, no, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to make time for myself. Or is it that I don't care about these people, like, I'm not, I would rather leave them, but the difficult choice is I'm going to stay and I'm going to help them. Both of those work very well, but I don't know how well they work in the same story right next to each other. But the thing is, I love the haunted part. I love the part where he's like, people are haunted by themselves. I freaking love that. That's probably my favorite part of the story. So I would not recommend removing it. And I guess because he already feels a bit callous at the end to me, I guess to me in general, that would be the more poignant thing to focus on, is like, I would like to leave. I just treated Kelly very callously, but I'm going to stay and I'm going to help others like her, kind of thing, I think is the more poignant resolution. And it's possible that you could do both of these, and I might be being too harsh, because, like, I didn't think too hard about it when I first read it, but in addition to not thinking hard about it, I wasn't feeling so great about Neil by the end. I was thinking he felt pretty callous. And so that is kind of a question of, like, yeah, you can leave it. I do get what you're going for. I'm going to have my own life and be free. But just beware that there is an element of it maybe making Neil seem a bit callous after he just made the decision to help. I do think it helps to remove that last line, but it's a question. Fair. Aw. Thanks, Hugo. Though I will clarify, this actually isn't my story. This is someone from the community's story. This is Norman's story. I'm just helping him out. Okay. And then I like that Ghost Neil is seemingly wanting to reveal the lie and being like, hey, I have something to tell you. But the fact that he doesn't get to tell the lie, I think, adds to Neil not seeming great at the end, that it's like she's still stuck in the lie. And granted, you don't have the words for her reaction unless you want to, like, do a perfectly cut scream, basically, and have it be that it's like, you know, yeah, I'm sorry, I lied, I'm still alive back there, and then, like, what? And then end it there. I guess you could do that. But that is something to be aware of as well, that I don't think this one's as bad as the other ones. The worst offender is a more general thing, which I guess I'll talk about in a second. But it's just all these little things adding up to each other. So having having the lie not get revealed, and in the end we are stuck within this lie and he faces no consequences for it, adds to how bad it is, I guess, is how I'd phrase it. I do like this, though. I do like that there is a clue that she has to it. That is really good. Body doubling, not body autonomy. Head desk. Okay, I'm still confused. What is body doubling in this case? Writer decisions is the best part of writing, indeed. Okay, we've reached the end on our first pass of the night. Let's see where we got and how, if I'm going to be encouraged or if I'm going to be discouraged. Place your bets now. Encouraged meaning we're closer to 350 than I thought. Discouraged meaning I barely cut anything and we're still far from...
Go back.
We're still far from the goal. Okay, let's do this while I'm bringing up a new tab. Word counter. Okay, I should not look at it by myself first. Okie dokie. I'm very encouraged! Yay! 69 words left. That shouldn't be hard at all. 69 words left. Nice. Alright. It's probably 75 words you cut. It's 400 words I cut, babes. Yes. We're having a second body around ADHD helps the latter want to focus. Body doubling. Interesting. I have never heard of this term before. Okie dokie. Let's nip those 69 words in the bud. Also, I've never said babe before in that context, and I feel weird. I think it's because of Kelly. I think it's because Kelly is constantly calling Neil babe in this story. Alright. And as I said at the beginning, so I added all this stuff, and so Norman could choose to remove all of it and just keep it as it was before. Norman could choose to just keep it as is, as I have it. He has my permission. He could choose to why did I lose my train of thought? Oh yeah, he could choose to write something in his own words, write something like similar but different kind of thing. And it's cool, I'm 5 months old internally. So I guess I'll say, like, I'm hopefully Norman will watch this and can see what's going on, and if he doesn't, then maybe I can say over text. But while we're on the topic, I'll just talk about it. So there is a reason why I added both of these things. You have, if we start at this part, where you were before, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it takes 5 sections of the story, to get to Kelly's perspective. It's not terrible to have Kelly's perspective just come in like that unexpectedly. It's not too terribly jarring. And so if you keep it as is, it's not that big a deal. However, especially because this story is in first person, the reader is very much not expecting a different perspective, or if they are, they're expecting another first person perspective. And so having the story, especially because the story ends in Kelly's perspective, having the story start in Kelly's perspective, I think, is a good thing. That it shows, like, hey, there's going to be 2 perspectives in this story. This is something, I don't remember how much I've talked about this in the writing group. Maybe not because we write such short stories, but at the beginning of your story, you are advertising, hey, this is the contract that the reader and the writer have. This is the way that the story is being told. And so, like, first person, present tense, like one perspective, all those things, like, that is you telling the reader, hello, this story is going to be in first person. It is going to be from Neil's perspective alone. It is going to be in past tense. And so then if suddenly you break any of those things, then it can easily be jarring. And like I said, it's not too terribly jarring in this particular case. Hello, Battle Chi Comics, welcome. So it's not too terribly jarring in this case, but it, like I said, just adding a little something, just 3 whole lines at the beginning, tells the reader, hello, this is the contract that we have. We have 2 perspectives. One is in third person, the other is in first. One is Kelly, the other is Neil. And there you go. You know, that works. For me personally, that works a little bit better. And Battleshe Comics, if you don't know, I am here helping a writer in my community cut down his story for the Halloween contest. The word limit is 3,500 words, and I am helping him get down to that. It was a little bit over 4,000 words, and so I have successfully cut it down to 3,569 words. So I only have 69 words to cut. Multi-perspective short story. Holy schmokers! Thanks, Battleshe. I hope you enjoy it for all the time that you are here. And then it's wonderful that we've been doing this a lot lately, but somebody, so a lot in this stream, somebody give Battleshe the link to the Discord if they so want to join. Oh, I see what I did. I was wanting there to be, okay. I guess that's fine. And so that's part 1. Thank you, Documancer. But FYI Battleshe Comics, if you like writing, every week we have a prompt, and then we all write 350-word microfiction for that prompt, and then at the end of the week, I read some of the stories from the community on stream. But anyway, so that one part is that advertising, hey, there's multiple perspectives, is a good thing, especially with first person for one of those. And then, and I guess I'll also say, I don't know if you chose this font because she's a ghost. You could pick a different font. For the first time, but I think that would get easily confusing, because people will be like, wait, there was a different perspective earlier, so does that mean there's a different Kelly? There's a ghost Neil and a ghost Kelly and a real Kelly and a real Neil? So I think it would be better to, if you do this, to include the same font that you used for Kelly for the rest, even if you chose it because she's a ghost. Then the other reason that I added something is that, so in your version, I think it's with, Jenna. Yes, okay. So the first time we hear about Ghost Neil is here. So I'd also neglected to tell her about the other calls at the beginning, the ones that started coming in after my accident. I really didn't want to worry her with that particular detail yet. I hadn't quite figured out what to do about Ghost Neil myself. We don't know that our viewpoint character's name is Neil. And so I was just kind of like, okay, there's a ghost named Neil. All right, you know? And so then I was very confused at the end when it was like, oh, Neil is him, and Ghost Neil is also him, but not him. And so I think this line is better removed. And the other thing is, like, Ghost Neil is introduced super casually, like, and I'm spoiling everything for the story here, but, like, this man got into a car crash, died but didn't die, and so now there's 2 of him. Now there's Ghost Neil and there's actual alive Neil. And so, like, that's really exciting and interesting and cool, and it's just, like, this is how he first gets introduced, albeit, like, that's a bit mysterious. But then, like, when we actually see him, it's just like, alright, gotta talk to Ghost Neil, and then it's just like, there's nothing, I don't know, dramatic for the reader in there. It's just like, yeah, Ghost Neil, he exists, I'm calling him. And like the fact that we don't know he exists also was part of what made it confusing when he's introduced as well. And so, to me at least, I think including something dramatic at the beginning so that the reader has a mystery about like what's all this. And so I guess I'll just read what I added, starting with, I felt my neck snap. I know I had. The car came out of nowhere. I should have died. And sometimes, when I shut my eyes, I felt as if I had. Yet, I was discharged from the hospital unscathed. When I arrived home, I heard the phone ring, the one in the basement. It was my voice. I think that like, and of course, like I said, you can change it, you can put it in your own words, or you can keep it whatever you want. But I think that's a great way to introduce, the reader's like, dramatic, exciting, there's a mystery. And so then when Ghost Neil shows up, we're like, aha, here's what the voice was about, here's the answer to the mystery, as opposed to just being like, huh? Like, A, huh, and B, like, aw, like, that's introduced very matter-of-factly. I would have loved that to be introduced more dramatically, kind of thing. And then I don't know if unscathed is right. Like, maybe he did have scrapes and bruises or whatever. But yeah, so all of these are just my suggestions. I'm just only trying to help. If it's not helpful, you can, of course, remove it and do your own thing. This is just my attempts to help make the story the best it can be. Thank you for joining the Discord, Battle Chi Comics. I think I was saying Germanic instead of dramatic. Amazing. All right. I guess I'd say one here. That this is kind of a me thing, but I don't like saying you to the reader when you don't have to. When you don't have to. Yeah, I feel like this could be different, but I don't know exactly what the sentence is trying to convey, so I can't figure out how to fix it. Maybe just removing the for a second opinion would be good. I kind of like that. And then I guess if I'm talking about bigger stuff, so originally in the other version, I guess I can show it. In the other version, she says, like, listen, idiot, you're the guy who talks to dead people, right? So what's the problem? And then he's like, oh, your boyfriend's ignoring you because you're a ghost. Finally, she's actively ignoring the fact that she's dead. She's actively trying to not even say the word in her head that she's dead. And so it feels very strange to me that she knows she's dead enough to say, you're the guy who talks to dead people, and to confirm, like, oh, because you're a ghost? Yes, I am a ghost, finally. So those things didn't feel accurate to how she was portrayed later. And so in my version, I changed it to continuing in the denial train, that she, I took out that whole middle bit of her being like, you're the guy who talks to dead people. I don't think it's necessary in general, but, it also has the problems I just said. But then I also had her denying it and saying, I'm perfectly alive, thank you very much. But him going, something told him he was right. Something told him she isn't alive. And again, of course, you can put this in your own words if you want, or keep it as is. But I just think having her deny it, but him realize, no, only the dead people call this line. I guess I could add that. I know I'm adding words. But I only have 69 to remove, so I feel better about doing that. Yeah, I think that works. And then, I don't know if I like this, but just having him be like, you know, her be like, I'm alive, thank you very much. And then him, even though he knows that she's probably a ghost, he's like, sorry, this line's only for ghosts, poltergeists, and other lost souls. I hung up on her. I kind of liked the jokiness of that, but it could be removed or rephrased or whatever. It's vague, that's the goal of the sentence. You like it better as, where'd it go? Oh, you like it better as just like something told him he was right. Oh, I said him, didn't I? Told me I was right. This is kind of interesting after rereading it, knowing that there are other people who know about this phone, one of which is himself, who's not alive. Oh yeah, and I changed this to say with this stuff because I liked the idea of like I try to spare her from dealing with stuff whenever possible. Even though she's morbidly curious, nobody was equipped to deal with this stuff. I liked mirroring that and saying this stuff, but what you had is great too, so you can keep the different phrasing. I tried to spare her from dealing with the stuff because nobody was equipped to deal with this stuff. I see. You're saying you don't like the something told me I was right. It was too vague. Gotcha. And then if we have that, so I was going to, when I originally read the story, critique this for being like, accident can mean a lot of things, and so I was kind of lost when you said this, and I was going to say, put car crash there, and then you can say accident later. But if you have that beginning part where it says, you get to experience the car crash, kind of, then when we get to this line, we're going to be like, ooh, the calls that started coming in after the accident? You mean when you picked up the phone, it was your voice? I think that'd be great. I think that would work really well. And then it avoids the problem of being like, I didn't know what to do with Ghost Neil myself yet, you know, and the problem of us not even knowing that he's Neil. And so, but we know that if we have a reference to the accident earlier, oh yeah, he picked up the phone and it was his voice. What's up with that? I was thinking, I was like, maybe I could remove this. And then I was like, well, then maybe you could remove this. Well, then maybe you could remove this. Maybe you could remove the whole part. I don't think you can, because Jenna shows up at the end. If like, I had, gone to word counter and it was like still 3,900 words, I might have suggested removing Jenna in general. I like her presence, but Kelly is more important, and so you could remove Jenna's presence. But because that problem isn't happening, I'm not going to say that. I like having Jenna there, so she should be kept there. But there is an element of, like, it's not super necessary. We're not really getting new information from this section, other than she has a key. I guess it's repeated. Um, Aw, Hugo Moreno says, I'm gonna hit the hay. It was nice meeting you guys. It was nice meeting you too. Thank you so much for stopping by. Oh yeah, and I had a question here of um is this holy fuck no? Totally. Or is it holy fuck no? Totally. Because if it's the former, it should just be it should just be that. But if it's the latter, it should be that. Ah, just wanted the middle bit. I do love the transition from, yep, moving on from Corey. All right, here I am with Neil. I guess we can take out the so. I guess we could do. Yeah. I'm not sure why this is italicized because I don't know if it's kind of a, like, that popcorn looks tasty, is it? Yes. Or like, that popcorn looks tasty, is it? Yes. You know, if I can't really tell what the tone is. I feel like having a tone indicator there would be helpful. I do really like this as well. I just got the joke. I totally thought like it was just her spoiling the movie and that was the point. No, the point is that's her. That she has been dead the whole time and she hasn't realized it. Or she's not admitting it to herself. That's great. Ad break incoming. Oh yeah, and so originally this said like blood droplets started hailing from the ceiling, and I was gonna be like, that's rain. Like, blood droplets is blood raining from the ceiling. Why are you saying it's hailing? And I took me like 2 reads to realize, oh, it's frozen. And I think you say like, I mean, you say thawed, but I don't know if thawed is what tipped me off. But yeah, so I was very confused, especially because droplet to me does imply liquid. And so you could say frozen blood droplets, but I think just saying frozen blood, I think is best to convey why it's hailing and not raining. Sounds like Susie Q. What? Whoa, I don't know who that is. Frozen. Yeah, I guess we could remove it. I'm so torn on it, because part of me really likes it, because it's showing the emotion, like, oh gosh, I gotta clean it up! But at the same time, like, I hung up, got the vacuum from my closet, and tried to suck up the blood, I think is a little better. Like, I like the flow of that more. So, I don't know. So I was thinking of a movie where a teen becomes a ghost and can't move on until she gets her unfinished business done. Susie Q. Gotcha. I also love that she says "we" immediately. Yeah, I guess I can remove it. I can't tell. Is that maybe there's meant to be a comma there, maybe there's not. Yeah, so this is the part I was talking about before, that he does say it's a dirty lie, and I do really like that, but like it doesn't make up for the issues later with treating his sister with love and compassion and not Kelly. And I guess uh it's the dirtiest lie I'd ever told. It felt downright shameful. Well, if it's the dirtiest lie you've ever told, it should. So I feel like maybe I can remove that, but yeah, and I guess even the second half, like even if its purpose was evicting a poltergeist, well, you talk to dead people all the time. You seem like you should have compassion for them, right? It's like it shouldn't be that shouldn't be the train of thought in general. So I guess that works. Um Maybe the butt works. Um I guess maybe like I think that works a bit better. So as I thought it out, the dirty slide ever told, I felt ashamed even though I wanted to be rid of her. Maybe does work better. Yeah, so it's like even though like I want her to go away, I do feel ashamed. I think that's better. I do really like this image. is just his. Because Neil and Neil next to each other isn't great. I really like this line a lot because it's like, objectively, I'm sure it's true that it was a beautiful day to be alive, but she's implying that she's alive and she isn't. I like that a lot. I do. So, when I first read this, I didn't know that I just had to highlight it to reveal the words. And so I was kind of like, I could kind of guess. So like, I've been wearing the same outfit since I died. I could kind of guess that. And then, I would have to possess someone because blank, I love peanut butter. I honestly thought it was, I would have to possess someone because I fucking love peanut butter. But I realize now that that wouldn't even work because like the I isn't over here. But still, FYI, those blanks can get filled in weird ways in your reader's mind before they know just to highlight it. But what I really was trying to say is that once I highlighted them, like, it really hit me hard when I saw like all the I died, I'm dead. I really like this one as well. So that worked so well. I really like having those redacted and then you can highlight them and see, like, that's really cool. And really conveys very well exactly how she thinks and what's going on. Like, it's not the sense of she's not thinking about it or she's actively thinking the opposite. It's that it's there, she's just blanking it out. And then I didn't realize there was more to the sentence, and so that I think that's part of why that one hits especially hard. I kind of like moving that so it's at the thrift store, looking for the change room. In the corner of her eye, she glimpsed the other door. I like that because with my edits to it shortening all that, it's kind of like this, all these things in front of it. Like this thing, this thing, this thing. Finally, we look at it. Finally, we see it. So I like the cadence of that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of like the cadence of that as well. Compartmentalized, stuffed into the closet, into the dresser, under the bed, out of sight, without an and. And I really like the reveal of it as just like one tick lighter. Like it's not full on black. It's gray, and so it's like coming into focus. It's so cool. And then especially the phrasing of dead just like her is great. I mean, come to think of it, I can't explain it, but then he does explain it actually very well. Okay, I want to see how we're doing. What happens, like a montage? Sorry, I think I saw that late. Oh, you mean my, like, this thing, that phrasing? Oh, I just realized something. Okay, let me take a look and then we can talk about it. $36. Okay, I'm not done yet. I just realized her talking about earthbound spirits with the peanut butter is maybe an issue because she's not admitting that she is a spirit. Oh man. I love this line. I really like it. It's so cute and funny. I don't want to suggest removing it, but it is her admitting that she is a spirit. So that line might be a problem. I'm not going to remove it, but just you can hear me say this in the stream. Yeah, cadence. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I like that it wasn't a nice day after all. Like, that's really great. And feels very relatable because, like, we all have those times where it's like, objectively, it is a nice day. But it's like, you wake up and you're like, everything's great. And then, things go poorly and you're like, it's not a nice day. It sucks. And especially because, like, everything isn't conspiring against her. It's just that she's not admitting, what's going on. And so it works very well. Indeed. Yeah, I guess, well, yeah. The problem is more because I was about to say, I was like, oh yeah, maybe she just like knows about ghosts and is saying that because even living, she was into ghosts. The problem is that she is talking about herself. And so that's the issue. I could take this line out, but I do really like it. It wouldn't work because Neil is the one who is saying, he's the one who's like, how can you physically eat that? And so then she's like, oh yes, peanut butter is supernatural. And so it doesn't work from Neil's perspective because he is the one asking. And she can't be the one asking because then that would again imply that she knows she's a ghost. I didn't catch this before. I don't know if you meant this, but this is interesting because Neil closes his eyes and sees the afterlife, sees through Ghost Neil's eyes. Kelly is closing her eyes, trying to see her living self, and it doesn't exist. Well, that is what she says, actually. Like, so, going back there. So, baby, where do we keep the peanut butter? This perplexed me. Can you even eat peanut butter? I don't have peanut allergies. No, like, how do you physically eat it? Peanut butter has supernatural properties, she said, as if this was common knowledge. It's tangible to earthbound spirits. So, like, it doesn't really work any other way, but it is her saying that she's a spirit. But it's also super cute, so I don't know what to do. With a spoon, that's great. I do like that, too. Can you even eat peanut butter? I don't have peanut allergies. Well, like, how do you physically eat it? With a spoon? Yeah. I guess it depends on if she is using a ghost spoon or not, but that could be funny. I don't know if it's as funny, but that could be a funny thing that would work. So I don't completely know why she is bleeding. I don't know if it's a situation of A, it's just that the blood rain gets onto her. B, when she died, she did bleed. C, like, she just somehow got some blood on her. Like, it's not like it rained on her or anything. It's just she got it on her some other way. Or, like, the ceiling is raining blood, and, like, when it can't rain anymore, it's affecting her. Like, her body starts bleeding. I'm not sure what it is, but the thing is that if she didn't wake up from the anesthesia, I don't know why she'd bleed. Like, granted, I don't completely know what it's like to die under anesthesia, but I would think that it's just like, you know, you don't wake up, that you get put under and don't wake up. And so I'm not sure. So I'm not sure why her death would cause bleeding and why it would, like, remind her, kind of thing. So this line right here hit me so hard. Like, I love this whole section from Kelly's perspective, but this line, like, because I read the other story with Kelly and the psychic, right? And she just seemed like a silly, fun character who wasn't meant to be taken seriously. And so I kind of came into this story with that perspective and was kind of doing the same and brushing her off like Neil does. And so then when you get her perspective and you see why she's acting the way she is and why she's stuck as a ghost on Earth, is that she was so young and she never got to be in love. Like, oh my gosh. That hits really hard, especially with the way that she died. Like, honestly, the way she died was the most, like, I don't know, content warning worthy part for me personally, because it's just like, oh man, it's not like a traumatic accident, like something coming out, a car coming out of nowhere or something like that. It's like, it feels so much more, because, like, that could happen to any of us, where, like, a car comes out of nowhere, absolutely. And granted, that's my interpretation of it. I don't know how he got in the car accident. But anybody could get into a car accident, absolutely. But there is something about, like, her dying under the anesthesia that's like, ugh, that's scary. Like, that's what makes going under anesthesia scary, where it's like, oh yes, I'm just coming in for a surgery to, like, fix something. And it's like, hi, yes, you might not wake up just because of the thing that we need to do to make the surgery happen. It's not even complications from the surgery. I mean, granted, maybe that is why she would be bleeding. But it's just like, yeah, She went under, she didn't wake up, and so that feels so much more tangible and real and freaky to me. And so having it be that she died in that way, and then right after that saying, I'm so young, I never got to be in love, is like, oh, I feel this, that scares me, that tugs on the heartstrings and stuff like that. And so, so I really like this section, and I think I was starting to say this before but didn't, which is, this is why Neil ends up coming across as callous, because this is so touching, this is so heart-wrenching, and so then when you hear when Neil is, well, the problem is that he is taking her to the afterlife. That is eternal. She will never get to go back. And he is doing that based on a lie. That he is lying to her and saying, I will be here for you. I will love you. I will care for you. And so then, like, we're lucky that he fell in love with her. And I'm super glad that he did. But if he didn't, like, this would be so much more horrible. And that was the intent behind it. The intent behind it was, like, I don't like her, you don't like her, we're gonna make her go to the afterlife forever and dump her. Like, we're gonna make her go to the afterlife and just completely, like, ignore her. And that's really callous and heartless. And granted, there is kind of an element of, she does need to move on. And so it is helping her, even if it is a lie, even if he does ultimately dump her. Presumably, her just going to the afterlife and not remaining a ghost is helping her in some capacity. And so it's not, like, all completely horrible. But the fact that it's like, yes, I'm going to decide your eternal future for you based on a lie, and then I'm going to dump you, I'm going to ignore you, whatever he's going to do. He's not going to be in love with her. And so that, like, it's not so bad when you read it from Neil's perspective, and like I said, with the perspective I had before of, like, oh yeah, silly little Kelly, she just needs to move on. And so if you didn't have this section in here, it wouldn't feel that callous. It would just be like, oh yeah, whatever, like, we need to get rid of her. But because we do see from her eyes, and we see what happened to her, and we see the pain that she feels and the reason that she's acting this way, which is super valid, this lie and what he plans to do to her then reads super duper callous. And so that is why then him going, like, oh, whatever, like, the dead aren't going anywhere, and then also proceeding to be like, for his lie not to be revealed, like, and then him caring about his sister and not Kelly, like, all those little things just add to how callous he feels. And I think the later things could all work, potentially, like, especially, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like, especially the one of him, the lie not getting revealed, because you don't really have the words for it. Like, you don't need to necessarily change all of the things I just mentioned. It's just the situation of, because he already seems very callous, then it makes those things add to it. It makes those things end up being worse. And so I do think that, and, like, you don't necessarily have the time, and so if you don't fix it, that's fine. But it's just something to potentially think about if you want to work on this a little harder. I do think that my edits might have fixed it. I don't know if they fixed it entirely, but him being like, the horror of what he did hitting him, like, that, saying that overall the horror of it hit him, I think works well. I think that conveys, okay, I care about Kelly, I care about what I just did, I realize it was horrible. And I forget what the other line I added was. I think there was another thing I added regarding it, but so I think I did some things that either help or fix the issue, but that's stuff to consider, basically. Interesting. Yeah, that's a really interesting idea of, like, you're being anesthetized, you're in a dreamlike state, and then she dies and thinks she's still in the dreamlike state. That's really interesting. Exactly, yeah. Documencer says, it's what she needs, but it's not necessarily ideal and should be talked about. Exactly. It's like, the ultimate goal of, like, you need to move on. Like, a bad goal at all. And I guess, you know what? I guess part of it is because his goal isn't that. His goal isn't, I want to help her. I want to help her get to the afterlife. She needs to move on. His goal is, get this crazy chick away from me, you know? And so that's the main reason he's doing this. And so it rather reads like, my goal is to get this crazy chick away from me, and a side effect is something good. A side effect is she got to move on. That might be one of the biggest problems of it, actually. Come to think of it. Like, yeah, and I don't, it would change the story drastically to change this, so I don't think you necessarily should change this, but it could, if it was his goal, like, he's like, I want her to move on, like, and it's a side effect is she stops annoying me. That would work very well. I don't think he'd really seem callous at all if that was the case, but the fact that that's not his goal, the fact that his goal is to get her away from me, makes it seem extra callous. It's also a short story. You can't add the reluctance to do bad things that might offset the karma. Yeah, that is a difficult thing. It's like, if you had more words, you could add more emotion. But like I said, I think you can convey the emotion with the words that you have, at least you can do more to show that he's not callous, with what you have, even if you can't do the full extent of what we might want. Also, while I am on the subject, I will say that another thing that adds to it, because like I said, there's all these little things afterwards that aren't necessarily a problem, but together they make it worse. The fact that when he is in love with her, which is great, which is like, okay, the goal was to dump her, so the goal was horrible. Luckily, he cared for her. Luckily, he actually fell in love with her and treated her well. So like, the good thing happened, but, you know, kind of coincidentally. But there is a problem with that, which is that it's kind of reads like the only reason he's in love with her is because she's hot. It's totally fine if she's hot, and he's into that. Like, that's totally fine. It's just the fact that, you know, that he's like, hey, you know, when he's like, hey, we're talking about Kelly, right? Like, what? You're in love with her? And then the only thing that proceeds to get described is her appearance. And then afterwards he comes out of looking at her and he's like, wow, I didn't expect her to look like that. Like, okay, she's cute, you know, kind of thing. And it makes it read as like, he's not in love with her. He just likes how she looks. And so there, especially because that's true, like, okay, so there's a potential that he might dump her because he's not actually in love with her personality, and she annoyed him before, or she annoyed the other him. And then there's also the problem of, like, I already have, me personally reading it, I already have the issue of, wow, like, he wants to get rid of her. He doesn't really care if she goes on to the afterlife. He's being so callous towards her. He cares about his sister, but he doesn't care about her. And then he proceeds to objectify her. Then he proceeds to only like her for her looks. Even as I'm saying it out loud, I'm realizing just how bad it is. I didn't think it was that bad, but now that I'm actually voicing it, yeah, you may need to think about it more heavily, because that is pretty bad. That it's like, I don't care about her, I don't care about lying to her, I don't care about dumping her and deciding her eternal afterlife for her. Oh, but she's hot, so I guess I love her, you know, kind of thing. So I think, like, and the thing is, like, if he didn't seem so callous earlier, if it was more of, like, I want her to go to the afterlife, I want to help her, and it's a side effect of she's kind of annoying me and I want to get rid of her, then I don't think this would be so bad. It's like, I already wanted to help her. I had a good heart for her, and she's hot. And so, like, I already was at least helping her, but I found her annoying. But now that I see her, I realize I'm attracted to her. That would work better, I think. But the fact that it's like, don't care about her, want to get rid of her, and I'm willing to lie to her to do it, but she's hot, and so I'll treat her nicely. I'll like her, is kind of an issue. I do really like your description. I like the way that you describe all of her appearance. I do think that's very well written and great and cute and fun. Yeah, it's just the overall stuff. Like I said, if the build up was different, I don't think this part alone would be a problem. Because you already have that build up, it makes this part a bit of a problem. And the other thing about it is like something you could do is you could have it be that he's in love with her personality, right? I don't know exactly how you do it, but if you use like all or half the words, because you do have, multiple paragraphs about, or maybe it's not multiple, but a long paragraph about her appearance. You could cut it in half, use some of it, but then also talk about like, oh, like I found her annoying, but I actually realized who she is. I realized what she's about. So I'm into her, for her personality. I think that would work well. Again, I don't know exactly how you describe it, but I think, especially because, like, that's, like, I didn't fall in love with her romantically, but that's kind of the experience I had with her, right? Where I was like, oh, yeah, that Kelly, like, cute but annoying kind of thing. And so then when I actually read from her perspective, I was like, oh, like, I care about her. Like, she's a worthwhile person who didn't deserve this. And so I feel like if you had Ghost Neil kind of go through that sort of experience, again, I don't know the specifics of how you'd want to do that, but go through the experience that the reader went through and being like, oh, she's so annoying, and then going like, oh, actually she's a worthwhile person. I think would work super well. I think that would be very satisfying for the reader and would work very well. But yeah. Sorry if I'm being a bit harsh. Like I said, I didn't even realize how much of an issue it was until I was saying it. But anyways, okay. So where even was I? Oh yeah, I was just on the, like, I never got to be in love thing. Is this supposed to be like this? I don't know if I like how that looks. And this hits hard too. Oh, and the other thing I was going to say about all this is that, like, in some ways, this story is meant to be... Oh, hi! Hello, Method. Interesting. That's really cool. I need to go to bed in 15 minutes, so I won't be able to look at it tonight, but you can, if you join the Discord, then you can, then, like, and I can't promise anything, but if you join the Discord, you can put it in the writing workshop, and I myself or other people in the Discord can take a look at it. So, sorry I keep having you do this, Documancer, but can you post the link to the Discord? Ooh, follower goal met! 120 out of 120! That's so awesome! Thank you guys so much. Almost left caps lock. Is there a font restriction? Apparently not. I didn't even think to really talk about the font. Granted, maybe I did in the rules, but didn't but don't remember. But like I like how Norman used the different fonts, and so I don't seeing this, I don't have a problem with it. So if you want to do that too, you can. Thank you, Documancer. Oh, was I saying something? What was I saying? Oh, I remember. So I was gonna say is like the ending where he's just like into he's just into her for her looks, and then he's like, I can fix her, kind of thing, would work really well if the story was purely a comedy. And a lot of things about the story are comedy, but the part in Kelly's perspective isn't. And so because of that, because you had, like I said, like you had this, I got a shot full of emotion. I got a shot full of empathy for Kelly. That's very serious and very real. Then having the end be like purely comedic, like, yes, it's still funny and it's still well written, but it doesn't, work. It doesn't connect to the earlier part because this part isn't funny, because this part is serious. And granted, as I'm talking, an option you would have is to remove all of the sections from Kelly's perspective. I don't recommend that because I really like the sections from Kelly's perspective. I think they're great, and I think they're, like, in some ways the heart of the story. So I definitely don't recommend removing them. But if you're, like, listening to what I'm saying and you're like, yeah, the comedy of it is more important to me than, like, it having, like, serious parts and stuff like that, then that would be an option for you. I don't know if they're intrusive at the moment because she should step through the door. I guess, that's a complicated thought because it is talking about how it is that, like, intrusive, impulsive thought of, like, l'appel du vide, when you're standing on the edge, the call of the void, you want to jump off. And so that is an intrusive thought that she's referencing, but it can't hurt her now. But at the same time, because it can't hurt her and because it's a good thing that she should want to go to, does that make it not an intrusive thought, kind of thing? I guess you could use that exact phrasing of, like, the void called to her, then that, l'appel du vide. That is the, as far as I know, like, that's the expression for that feeling of when you're on a cliff and you think of jumping off. That's called l'appel du vide. My French doesn't sound good at all, so but anyways, yeah, so I'll put it in for now. Or I guess, the void called to her. I guess you could just say, door beckoned like the precipice of a cliff. The void called to her. Thoughts of stepping off the edge came, and she tried to push them aside, but the fall couldn't hurt her now. No, I think I like it with the whole explanation. What is an intrusive thought but a thought in subscript? What do you mean by subscript? Let me see how much more I need to remove. I think I've been talking for most of the time, so I don't know if I even got the 36 words gone. And I added something in. I got 3 words. That sounds good. Tiny font. Intrusive thoughts or do you mean like, so you said squared, so you mean like thoughts but emphasized, thoughts times 2, or thoughts times thoughts kind of thing? I guess that works better, but yeah, like intrusive thoughts are certainly not thoughts but smaller. In fact, in a lot of ways, they're bigger. Okay, that's the end. So go back. I said it before, but I love this whole paragraph, and I especially love that last line. And I freaking love this line so much. It's hard to pick a favorite because there's a lot of lines I really like, but that one might be my favorite. And like, I talked about it a couple streams ago, but writing group streams, but it reminds me of the ending of Crimson Peak as well. And it also reminds me of The Book Thief and Death saying, "I'm haunted by humans." Oh yeah, the it was the other thing that added to it. I do really like Ghost Neil trying to comfort her. I don't know if this is meant to be a comma or a period. I go back and forth. I do like him saying, I'm saying some goodbyes like he died. Despite having my qualms about the lie. Well, let's see how we're doing. Once again. I guess I could just do this bottom part. Because I didn't change anything from before. What? Okay, I need to actually highlight the whole thing. Excuse? How did I get it, like, not just within the limit, but exactly? Is this real life? Am I a ghost? I did it! I did it exactly! Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Okay, let me still take a look at the bottom bit. I took out him saying, like, now you're just ogling. That line is fine. The problem is, Kelly's not supposed to know what's going on. And so if he says that, then that's kind of a good clue that whoever he's talking to can see her. And so maybe too good of a clue that, there's another Neil. I mean, I guess it doesn't say that there's another Neil, just that there's... Well, no. Because, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just took it out to be safe. It's interesting that she, can't remember her previous life the way that she couldn't remember, dying before. Yeah, I guess, interesting. I don't know. So she rested her head on his chest. Kelly felt the soothing rhythm of Neil's heartbeat, and for a brief moment she thought about how curious it was that he still had a pulse. It might be better to leave the story there. Because that does kind of imply, especially, I mean, it already does, but ending on it especially implies she's going to find out that whether she figures that out on her own, whether she gets told, this implies she is gonna know, seemingly. And this is really cute and sweet and wholesome, but it is very much lessened by the fact that it's based on a lie, right? That, in one sense, he is, at the very least, he's genuinely infatuated with her. At the very least, he's genuinely attracted with her, to her, if not being in love with her actually. But even despite him potentially actually being in love with her, like, it's like, oh, so cute, but it's based on a lie, and so there's this hesitance there of like, I can't fully give myself over to the cuteness of the scene because I know that. But ending with that lie, and her starting to figure out about that lie, works a little better for me, as more the space that I as the reader am in, kind of, and it's a little like cliffhangery, mysterious, I guess. But anywho, so I don't know. So FYI, overall, I really love the story. Like, yes, there were some issues that I talked about, but like, in general, I really like this story. Like, I already loved Neil and the rotary phone when he talks to his dad. I loved Kelly with the psychic. And so then putting them together is really cute and sweet. It really fulfills the wholesome challenge, but there's also depth in there too, in multiple different ways. And so I really like the story. I think you did a great job with it. So yeah, and then as I said before, I'm not reading it because you may win, and I want to give that its day in the sun. I want me to be able to read it for the first time on stream, on the official stream and stuff like that. But I'll be sad if I didn't. Granted, the problem with that is that if you don't end up winning, then I will be sad that I didn't read it and that I didn't get to do that at all. But anywho, this is a great story, and anybody watching who has not read the story yet, please make sure that you do either read it in the rough drafts or wait until Norman posts it in the Halloween contest. And I have faith in you, Norman. I believe that you will do it. I mean, partially I have faith in myself because I did what needed to be done for you. But I have faith that you will post it, and everybody will love it. Everybody will get to go read it. But yes, is anybody still here? If so, is there anybody in particular you want me to raid, or shall I just find somebody? Yes, it has been a great time. I hope you've enjoyed it, Norman. Whenever you listen to this, I hope this is really helpful. And whenever you see it, I hope it's helpful. So yeah, I guess I can, while I'm waiting to see if you guys have anything to say, so here we go. I will message, Norman. I'm here, but there's no one really on right now. Gotcha. Well, I guess I can just look up the new writing and reading category, which I'm very happy exists. Ooh, it looks like Obsidian Reads is reading. She is really cute. She reads like SCP stuff, VTuber. I enjoyed rating her the other day. So yeah. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. It's been a lovely time. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope that you found it helpful to your own writing. I hope Norman finds it helpful. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.